What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John back again, and we maybe 3,000 miles away from each other, but we are both sitting outside Bramley-Moore. It is massive. The 300 million capacity stadium is fantastic. We continue to be sponsored by Flyers Indoor Golf. They are running a competition at the minute, so get on the socials, get on Instagram, go and follow them, and you can get yourself in potentially a prize draw for a £100 bar voucher and a seated area before one of the games, which is really nice, really. So, John, good to see you. Are you okay?
Yeah, good, you?
I'm tremendous, mate. I'm tremendous. You know, I'm living it up in the Turkish lifestyle, mate. You know, it's hot, 38 degrees, I think it was today. It's lovely. Going to somewhere called the Grand Bazaar tomorrow. Anyone that doesn't know what that is, Google it, but it's fantastic.
On your own?
It will be, indeed, on my own. So, let's get into
a lack of news.
Yeah, lack of news. Yeah, that's the right way. Well, look, we were different echelons of the scale there. So let's go with your echelon. How you feeling?
Shite. To be fair, you know, we've spoke on here now for the best part of 2.5, 3 weeks that we needed more transfer activity happening than what has. We've signed Barry, we've signed a backup keeper, we brought Alcaraz in, and we've re-signed 2 players. And well, we've re-signed 3 players really. But it still worries me that we've gone to America. We've had Branthwaite left at home. There's still no right winger better off. We've got Beto up front with Barry. We're still short of that central midfielder that we've been crying about. And listen, things are ramping up for a lot of clubs now. And I see people on social media saying, stop panicking. What do you want us to do? Do you want us to go and panic by now or wait a bit longer and get the targets we really want? But in my opinion, if we wait any longer, we're going to lose out on the targets that we want. And I'm sick of seeing Everton are linked with, Everton have approached, Everton have had minor conversations with such and such a player's agent, and then nothing comes of it, and we're getting left behind. Listen, we've gone over to America, and you know, you had a big opinion on you wanted people brought in, especially a right winger, possibly a central midfielder before we got on that plane. None of them have happened, and I was quite sure none of them would happen because I've seen this with Everton before, and I've seen this with David Moyes before. And listen, that's not a dig at David Moyes. You know, he is labelled with the nickname Dither and Dave, for example. He does his homework. We've said on here, he does really look into a player's background before he actually strikes a deal with them. Can we afford for him to be so picky about who we're signing when realistically we lost 16 players and it works out we re-signed 3 of them, so we were still 13 players down. The squad's very lightweight. There's not much quality being added. I feel like we need to get a move on. So the players that we are going to be bringing in do have time to bed in on this pre-season, you know, because we spoke on here, Michael, we wanted players in to hit the ground running in pre-season. And for me, it's been a massive letdown since the 1st of July when Everton's transfer window really started.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, to be honest. And I think the more that you look at it, the more you realise how, well, firstly, how frustrating it's been, if I'm being honest. You know, you've got different Everton fans on different scales of what they wanted, allowing time, not allowing time. And I was always very straight, and I give myself almost a deadline, which was essentially when the players get on that plane, I wanted a striker, a centre midfielder, and a right winger. And I expected all 3 of those additions to have been made. I had a little bit of optimism sort of towards the start of last week when it looked like Douglas Luiz could maybe have happened. And then it didn't. And now I look at the situation and I just think we're incredibly short. We're going into games against 3 Premier League teams. I highly doubt that any of the additions that we may make over the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever are going to be involved in those games. And when you actually look at that situation, that means that when we play, West Ham, Bournemouth, Man United, in whatever order that is, there isn't actually the starting team that are going to be going into the Premier League. So again, it's about running into the league. We've seen that the last few weeks, David Moyes has wanted to play a full strength team. He played one against Port Vale, and he played one when we played Blackburn, and we went behind against Port Vale. Don't get me wrong, we won, but it took a wonder goal from James Garner. And we lost to Blackburn, who were a better team than Port Vale. No disrespect to Port Vale. So when you look at the way that we're going into this season, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be happy, because I'm not. This was meant to be the window where you go into it and you are excited and you were happy, and new owners, new optimism, new everything. Yet we're being turned down by players by all accounts. They're waiting for better options than Everton. And how does that talk about the story that we're all trying to tell? This new stadium, new optimism, new plans, new exciting era. It's just a bit deflating, to be honest. So for me, if you wanted to say how disappointed I am out of 10, I'd say I'm an 8. I am really disappointed. Yeah.
I think, listen, we spoke many times on this channel that it was a big transfer window for Everton Football Club. It's a big upcoming season for Everton Football Club. And we've spoke on here, and we've said, it wasn't going to happen overnight. It wasn't going to happen in one window. But I expected more business. I expected more positivity from Everton fans, me included, you included. And listen, every Everton fan is entitled to their opinion. We're just saying ours, but you've just used the words right there. At the minute, with this transfer window, and people will have a pop at us by saying there's still 4 weeks till the season, give us time. This transfer window has become deflating for me, with the expectations that we had, that we were going into Bramley Moore, that we knew we needed many changes in the squad. We knew we were losing that many players. We knew we had new owners. We knew we were bringing people in from the outside, as in Cox from Man United, a fella from Manchester City, the fella from Leeds. We knew it was going to take time. But now I feel like we're getting left behind. Now, something has to be going on in the background to change a lot of Everton fans' mindset of how we're going to go into this season, because you've just hit the nail on the head there. Any additions Everton make over the next 10, 12, 14 days while they're in America, if we make additions, they're probably not going to be part of that pre-season setup that we've got over there. Unless we sign players in the next 4 to 5 days, then they can fly over there. We've seen Liverpool do it with Etatiki, is it, or whatever his name is? He's flew over to meet the team on their pre-season tour in Asia. So you can fly players over, but we know how long Everton do take to do deals. I can't see any additions flying over to meet up with that squad in America. I just don't see it. I know how Everton work. A lot of Everton fans know how Everton work. You know how we work when it comes to transfers. You was just a bit more positive than me, but I could see what's happening. And I said this to you, and you were more positive. You thought we'd get a winger, and you thought we'd get a central midfielder in. I didn't. And this isn't a point scoring exercise, by the way, because I said to you on the phone, I just know how David Moyes works. I know how Everton Football Club work. So we have been strongly linked again the last couple of days with Kubo from Real Sociedad or Real Betis.
Sociedad, yeah, Real Sociedad.
Yeah, there is links with him. Apparently he's over in the Middle East with his current team. They don't want him to leave, obviously, because he's from that part of the world, so it's good for them. They are due back on Monday, I think. So from reading the report, if Everton are to step up their interest in Kubo, it will be from the beginning of next week, which, if we can get that deal over the line, he might fly him out for 4 or 5 days to America just to acclimatise to his teammates. That is a player I will be excited to get. But the longer Everton drag it on, when we've all seen what he's capable of, it worries me that someone will step in for him, because as a channel, we always talk about players getting bums off seats. He would be one of them. Now, if this is the case, that we've got a chance of getting him, Everton apparently have registered interest in him with his club. There's a chance we can get him. As soon as he touches down back in Spain, you need to get the wheels in motion to get that signing done.
It's that phrase that you actually use there that does my head in. Everton have registered interest in whatever player. You know, you can register your interest in 3 million players and sign one of them. I found it really frustrating. And the other thing I just want to mention is, you know, like you said, people are talking about the fact that pre-season, you know, there's still 4 weeks to the season starts, and there's still, you know, whatever it is until the end of the transfer window, 6 weeks, whatever it works out to, right? Whatever those numbers are. We shouldn't be going, in my opinion, into the first transfer window with these new owners and, you know, the Times coming out and saying we've got 150 million to spend and all of this stuff, but yet still need players on deadline day. Now, I like an exciting deadline day. You know, I do. You know, me and you, traditionally, we stop up, we text each other, we might do a video after, blah, 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 blah. We love it. But this was genuinely the one deadline day where I actually wanted it to be quiet. And I wanted us to have done our business now. And I wanted it that when we go away to Leeds on that Friday night, we look at our squad of players and we go, "Fuck, yeah, that's a good team, that." And I'm actually going to be looking at this squad of players going, have they done enough in pre-season? Has there been enough new bodies? And I'm going to look at the bench and go, is there enough strength and depth there? Because people will say, well, Mike, there's 3 games before the end of the deadline day. But that could be 3 games that we're throwing away for no reason. And that's the bit that frustrates me about this transfer window. This was the window of change. And if anything, it's been anything but change.
I expect Everton to have more quality in the ranks and in the starting 11 come that Leeds game on the Monday night. I do. But because we've been quite slow in this transfer window, do I expect us to have enough quality from going into the Leeds game from what we have now in America? And I don't think we will. I firmly believe we will add quality, just how much we add and how much that quality will make us look so much better than what I watched against Accrington Stanley and what I watched against Blackburn Rovers. Now, I do expect Everton to add quality, but I think the problem you also have, Michael, as a football club, if this was Everton's pre-season last year, where I think the furthest we went was Ireland or Scotland with Sean Dyche, we didn't practically go far. A couple of hours on a plane, an hour on a plane, right? If that was this pre-season, it wouldn't be such a big thing, because then you could understand we can sign players and we can get them involved in the pre-season. But because we're however many miles away in America, with the time zones and, you know, getting deals done and having enough people here to get the deals over the line, it makes it harder for Everton to bring in players while we're in America. If we were closer to home, I think it would be easier. But I think going to America and not having more bodies through the door and more quality through the door sort of hampered us a bit. I'm not saying transfers can't go through, but if they were closer to home and we got transfers over the line, it's easier to get them in and around the squad and get them interacting with the players and, you know, getting them involved in games. But when you're so far away, it's going to be hard. We could sign a player the end of next week, sign 2 players the end of next week. Probably not worth them flying over to America, because our last game's on I think it's a week Sunday, the Sunday night. It'll be pointless. Whereas if we would have got at least 2 in over the line, the central midfield that you've wanted and the right winger, which I've spoke about, if they were involved, it gives you more quality. They've got more time with the players than they could have been on that plane to America. And I just think the longer this goes on and the less pre-season that these new players are going to have with the team, they can be the best players in the world, but they've still got to know how their teammates play. They've still should have been interacted with that squad. So we might add quality, but you won't see the quality of them until they've had minutes with each other. And I just think they're not going to get that with us going to America. We come home from America, and then we've got Roma. Is it that's it? Roma, isn't it? One pre-season. So if we don't do the majority of our signings now until we're back across the pond, you've got one pre-season game in Roma, and then the season starts. And if you look at the start we've got, we need to pick up as many points as we can from them games. These new players should have been brought in earlier. And listen, Everton might have been working their bollocks off to bring players in, Michael. They might have done. But I'm sick of saying, as you said before, we're linked to it. We spoke to the agents. I'm sick of that. Get the deals over the line as soon as possible. And if there's a chance of getting them over to America, get them over.
Yeah, mate. Couldn't agree more. Right, we will leave it there. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Me and John will work out how we're going to do the match preview for our first game in America, but we will be getting a match preview out for the first game in America. Yeah. Anything else to add?
No, just enjoy it as much as you can. At least you're not working. At least you're away on holiday. Give Harriet my love. I think she can hear me anyway. Hope she's okay. And yeah, I'm sure. I think you're 2 hours ahead there, aren't you?
Yeah, mate. 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll try and get the match preview sorted out at some point tomorrow. Or if you want to pay, I can fly to Turkey and we can do it together in the same room.
Sounds delightful. Right, guys, we will leave it there. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Continue to go and support Flyers Indoor Golf. Go on the website, make sure you're there on match day, and make sure you get involved in their latest giveaway competition. And until then, guys, peace.